I'll do my best to do that. I'll do
If
my
you
best.
want to lie, please lie.
I'll let you know when I'm done.
Okay, just blink, yes. And I
So
will
you
cut it off.
edited as well, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Do I look on the camera? Do you put it here? Or is it like... Okay, let's do it.
Hello, welcome for the new episode StartUPeople podcast, where we're talking with entrepreneurs about their business, about ideas behind their brands. I'm Marina, host of this channel, and today, really guys, today is going to be a very special episode, honestly. I'm dreaming to talk with this guy for so long time, and finally it has happened.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for finding time. I know it's so valuable and you're so busy. I appreciate it a lot.
I'm actually not very busy. I just pretend to be. Most of the times I'm lying in bed reading. So.
Okay, so when I try to communicate with you, you're always busy. Okay, now I know that you...
Mostly I'm actually very lazy. Whenever possible, I try not to work, but I do enjoy either watching Netflix or reading.
Oh.
So most of the times if I'm saying I'm busy or I have an appointment, it's basically me at the
Netflix.
house. Me at the house, Netflix or my Kindle.
Okay, it's like a special appointment with yourself. It's not bad, by the way, yes. And you guys, please watch this podcast really careful, this exactly episode, because this is guy not only incredibly handsome, he's genius, and he's very successful entrepreneur, restaurateur. This was restaurateur. Okay, owner of few restaurants in Bali, in Ubud. So now we'll see how it's happened.
Sure.
I will figure out how it's going on. Why so successful?
I think success is very subjective to different people. I think your definition of success might be very different from mine. I actually don't have a definition of success at the moment, but there are definitely a few things which are important to me. One is, I guess, doing things out of passion and doing things I'm passionate about, doing things the way I would like to do it, and doing them consistently. So I feel if I'm able to do those things, I guess I might consider that to be successful for myself.
Okay.
And it's nice to see that people resonate with that and accept that and are receiving that well. So yeah.
Yes, but it's okay if come back for real things where we can check that you are successful. You own, like in general, now 3 restaurants, one in process to building.
Yeah.
Other one you already sold, like in general 5 under your name, like states in general.
Yeah.
And 2 of them, one of them, first one was honored the best restaurant in Ubud by
this
Honeycombs.
one in Galla where we are sitting right.
No. Another one, first one, Apsara, was top 5 restaurant in Bali.
Was it?
Yeah, you didn't know?
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
no,
it was top 5 restaurant in Ubud by Honeycombs.
Okay,
And
I didn't know this.
Okay, so you see, someone honored doesn't know how he is successful, but I'm here to tell him. Now he'll figure out and became more busy, like, now I'm superstar, I'm celebrity, I'm totally overbooked for everyone.
Yeah, I have a new TV show on Netflix to watch, so yeah.
Which one?
It's called The Gentleman. It's a British TV show.
Oh, okay. And the second one, this is where we are exactly sitting now, Galla Club.
Yeah.
Galla Club is nominated for the best restaurant, but in Bali in general.
Yeah, I think Honeycombs recommended us for best new restaurant. We opened 3 months ago. The restaurant's basically, I think, Indonesia's first Sri Lankan restaurant, with also some influences from the southern coast of India. And yeah, it's been received well. We open for lunch and dinner, but also breakfast. And yeah, it's been a good journey doing this so far. Yeah.
But still, you graduated from university in Singapore.
Yeah.
So you studied there. After you have, like, in general, as I calculated, 3 years, was exactly like office worker after university as supposed to be, like, for many people. And how it's happened after university, working at office, you are found out yourself in Eat, Pray, Love life, as you said.
I mean, the whole idea to be in Bali was actually never a plan. I've been visiting the island for almost 10 to 12 years now, but I've always looked at it as a place for a weekend getaway or just for a short holiday. I never thought that I would want to move here, let alone do something like this. But I think what I got very good at was just making the most of any opportunity that came my way. So in 2020, I actually got stuck during the lockdown here. And
you came just vacation?
Yeah, I was supposed to be here on a 2 weeks holiday from Singapore, and then they did the lockdowns there, so I could not go back. And then 3 days later, they did the lockdowns here, so I couldn't get out of Bali as well. So a 2-week trip. Yeah, a 2-week trip became a 8-month stay, and I was supposed to go to business school in US. But again, the pandemic sort of changed a lot of those plans as well, and I opted to not pursue that and see what could be done, I guess, here or maybe back in Singapore. But then this opportunity to do the first restaurant came, and I thought, why not? If it works, good. If it doesn't work, I can always go back and study.
How does this opportunity come? You sit in lockdown in your villa, I don't know, pool, relax, reading books, Netflix?
Quite the opposite. I think there were very few cafes and restaurants which were open in 2020 because of COVID. And one of them, I was at this cafe, met the owner, him and I got talking about doing this restaurant together. So that was it. It was just two people talking about our love for common food cultures, and we thought, okay, why not, let's do this place together. I had no idea what I was getting in for, but I'm very lucky that he was very, very helpful and in sort of getting me to understand what the restaurant world is like. I wouldn't have been able to do it without him, but I'm very happy that opportunity came and I took the risk of taking it. And yeah, so it was easier than I expected, I think.
Okay, so it's nice that it's not alone, it's not just idea came in your brain, it was with people who support you, who was like your teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about running a restaurant. I've eaten a lot, I've drank a lot, so I think that's the only experience I've had from before. But I think the opportunity presented itself, and he already had an existing restaurant, so it was easy to see and sort of become an apprentice or an intern in your own company to learn what it takes to set up all the processes.
So you take another business academy in Bali, how to open a restaurant,
I think,
be in food beverage business.
I always joke about this with friends as well. Like, I did an internship, but the company was mine. So so that's how I got into understanding how to run a restaurant, and then one thing led to the other, and here we are. So
now you're in process for opening, selling. Okay, but for that I will come back later. But now look back, what you would suggest to the people who finish university, graduated, start to work at offices, and thinking that they want to be independent entrepreneurs, they start some own. What is better? Still take time and work in office industry for a little while, or just graduate and don't lose time, don't waste time, go exactly in adventure to be
I think there isn't really a set rule or a mantra. I think it really depends upon the individual person. But I would highly recommend, and I wish I had done that as well, really introspecting and asking myself what I really want right now, what I really want in the next 3 years, what I would want 3 years later, but also being very clear about what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. When I look back, I was not that self-aware. I didn't really have a clear plan, so I just ended up doing whatever came my way. So to anyone out there who's a fresh graduate and is not sure if he or she wants to work for someone else or do their own business, I would probably suggest asking yourself who you really are, discovering who you really are, what you really want to do, what your limitations are. Maybe you don't have the capital to do something, so then you work, build up and have some savings and then invest it in a business. So I think, or if you have the capital, or maybe if your family is quite well to do and they can invest in you, and you believe that you've got an idea which you're very passionate about, then by all means go do that as well. But I think one thing that you have to be very aware of is whether it's entrepreneurship or if it's working for someone else in an office job, you have to work hard. I think hard work is one thing that is required no matter what you do. And if you're able to do, if you understand that, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Yeah,
yes.
but I think just having a serious conversation with yourself about what you want, who you are as a person, forget the business idea, just what your limitations are, what kind of person you want to be, that's very important.
Okay, so going to the personal goal to inner yourself, not about some goal like earn money or to be successful or to be like brand entrepreneur.
See, I think if you're chasing a brand like you want to be an entrepreneur, I think that's not right. I think because I mean, you could then make decisions because you want to be perceived a certain way, and that is not what a business or a venture should be about. I think if it's about financial well-being and financial empowerment, you can achieve that as well either ways, entrepreneurship or I think by working in a well-paid job. When I personally look back at my experience, I think from a financial perspective, I was doing a lot better when I was working for someone else. Entrepreneurship hasn't given me the financial returns yet. So, you know, some people think that, oh, if you're an entrepreneur, you're always doing very well financially. That's not always the case. It changes depending on the stage of entrepreneurship you're in. But I have noticed a lot of people just want to do it because they like the idea of them being entrepreneurs. But if you're chasing an idea, I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
Don't work for someone else. I will work for myself.
I think working for yourself also, it's a very lonely journey. Entrepreneurship, especially if you don't have a co-founder. I don't have a co-founder, so I'm the only person at the top of the businesses, and most of the days you are just having thoughts and conversations with yourself, so it can be very lonely as well. So there are definitely certain difficult aspects of entrepreneurship, which obviously social media has exaggerated and made it look all nice and rosy and whatever, but that's not always the case. So, but if suppose, if financial well-being is important, then you can achieve that either at working or by having your own company. If structure and guidance is important, you can still be an entrepreneur and have mentors to guide you, or you can work in a job, hope you have a good boss or manager and he or she can guide you. So all options are open, but I would just recommend to not chase an idea of what it is. That will never work for anyone. I can guarantee you that.
Okay, thank you so much. It's really like you show all structure with all ways possible how it can be. So please decide better, thinking a few times and talk with you honestly. Honest is I think key. Honest and love the secret ingredients in everything in our life. Yeah,
I think the best thing we can do for ourselves is just having an honest conversation with ourselves on what we really want, and not chasing, like I said, the idea or also what other people think you should do. Take their advice, but you don't have to act on it. And I think both options are fine. Long as you're open to the right opportunity and you can grab the right opportunity, I think both options are okay. So
with first restaurant, you said you struggle with one thing. It was Indian restaurant, right? Apsara?
Yeah.
And you are originally Indian, right? From India?
I'm originally from India.
And you struggle with one thing to prove people that first Indian not scammer people, and the second one that Indian cuisine is not only curry and butter chicken.
I think again, people often mistake, just we're talking like, and for all the, I guess, startup entrepreneurs or aspirational entrepreneurs out there, what we're talking in entrepreneurship lingo now is product. It's very important for me, it was at least very important for me for people to realize that Indian food is not just different shades of red on curries and butter naan and garlic naan.
It's like we see in movies. Like that.
We have so much we had so much diversity in what Indian food and cuisine has to offer. So the idea was to explore that. But I think the idea and the product and the way we wanted to do it was executed well. But the challenges were, I did not know the best way to market it or communicate that. And I think those were the initial struggles which we faced, not having the right I guess marketing or communication strategy in place, and I think the restaurant suffered because of that for sure, and the responsibility is on me for not being able to get that done. So
yes, exactly. I've been in that restaurant once last year ago exactly at that time, like June, July. I lived in Ubud, so I was lucky to visit all this place. And
you were there at Apsara?
Yes.
Okay, right.
And as I can say, I haven't been in India yet, but we have like visualization by pictures about like everything, like internet culture that is so bright. It's so like a lot of smells and like spices. But when I came to Apsara, it was very like high-level luxury style, and even from the walking on the street and even come inside, you will never ever guess that it's Indian cuisine. And it's run by Indian guy.
The idea
absolutely.
The idea was for it to not look like a stereotypical Indian restaurant that you see overseas. And I think that's also partially because I've personally very much been driven by doing things the way I want to and not just doing what everyone else is doing. So it was, again, challenging with what we said, the idea of what Indian food and Indian restaurants are versus the way I wanted to do it. So you're right in saying that when you walk in, it doesn't look like an Indian restaurant.
And you pay a lot of attention to the details in all your places, so we will speak about that later too. But even in that Indian place, I still remember this is a holder for bill check, so heavy metal, and when I see all these pictures, like everything details is very important. I truly believe that our power in little details. Most of the people don't pay attention, but this is exactly how we can earn money, how we can be successful, and it means that we're really careful with everything. So there is a lot of details. I know you said you can use like Pinterest, all these things, you can catch some ideas, but in all your places, it's very unique style, and I can see this is line in everything. It's like you. So this is your taste, this is your style, and how you made it.
I think there are a few factors that came into doing it the way I do the concepts. The designing of the menu as well as the drinks, but also the place.
Menu, it's always leather cover.
No, but also like the menu, the dishes that we eat, actually, they're all done by me. So I'm very much involved in the designing of the place and what menu to put on the plate for food and also for the drinks. And because I did it purely because I absolutely love eating and drinking, so there was obviously a strong element of passion. Passion plays a big role in the way I design and do the things. And because I really care about it, I think the attention to detail became very important. But I think from a young age, I've always been I have had a strong sense of attention to detail. But it's also possible because we have an amazing team who's able to do everything else. So I can really focus on things I want to obsess over.
So it's not like only business for you, it's like art. You express yourself.
I think
it's like your art soul where you can bring it and show it.
I'm a repressed creative. I never considered myself to be a creative person until the restaurant started to happen. So I think there's definitely that element of creativity, and I do consider these spaces as canvases where I can create my own art in a way. But I think passion plays a big role. Attention to detail, for me, I love it because I want every element of the way we curate a space to stand out and to have been well thought of. Because I always tell the team as well that 95% or 98% of our guests will not notice the way we've done it, but there'll be 2% of crazies like me who will come, so I want to do it for them. And we have this, we sometimes get guests who come in, they come into Tucky at our coffee shop and they say, oh, we love the fact that the tiles on the wall match the color of the coffee machine. And the story for that is we actually got the coffee machine, but I was not liking the original color, so I sent it back to get it painted so it matches with the tiles.
Oh my God.
That set us back by 2 weeks, so we had to open 2 weeks later. But for me, that was fine because I wanted every element to be
so satisfy your soul, art soul. And occasionally when someone comes in and they say, oh, we really like the color combination, I'm like, okay, it's worth putting myself through that extra torture. So I think passion plays a big role in being in the way I stress on the details of it, and I do it for the love of it, but also I only would have been able to do it because we have an amazing management team who's able to take all the other aspects away from me of execution and implementation, so I can focus on the design and how it looks, and then they take it forward and they make the most of it. How you find all these things, little details? So you have idea first, and after you start to looking, or you looking and oh yes, this is match, this is I like. Okay.
I think it's a mix of both. From my own personal philosophy is I spend a lot of time ideating in my mind, and I will go, A to Z, and I will list down these are the things I think I would like to do. Then I will question myself until I think that idea is not good to do. So I spend a lot of time on the vision board and on the mood board, going back and forth. But once I have kind of created an idea, then I'm very disciplined with the execution. Then I don't change my mind a lot. But you adapt from time to time on certain things, especially say when it comes to aesthetics or dishes on the menu. You think that you want to put it a certain way, but then you come across something new. So then you have to be adaptable, but not to an extent that it should not affect the timeline of your execution. So it's but I would recommend as much time as you want to spend time on the planning on how you want the product and the service and the experience of your business to look like. Spend as much time as you want, but when it comes to executing it, then be very disciplined and execute it, because any delays, any diversions can also cost your capital and increase your startup burn rate, which for small businesses is not a very good thing to do.
Exactly.
So spend all the time, prove yourself wrong, and if you are wrong, it's good, because then you are moving towards the right decision or that you're going to take eventually. So that's how we do it, or at least I do it.
Your first restaurant you ran 2 years and 7 months. It was your first restaurant, your first experience, and I'm talking now with a lot of entrepreneurs. They, everyone, treat their restaurant as a baby, as a child, because it's like canvas when you can express your art soul, all the details, and it's special attached. But you told me that you keep boundaries, and business is a business.
I put a lot of heart and soul into what I do, but I'm not very attached to them. I had a friend of mine 4 years ago, actually. She said this to me. She's like, the thing that should matter the most to you, you should also be able to walk away from it. And I think that stayed with me. And so I exited Apsara beginning of last year. So it's almost been a year and a half.
December,
Jan 2023 actually was when I left Apsara. And but the decision to exit was done in a day's time. I was not confused about it. And when it happened, I was very happy, because no one can take away the fact that I started it. And walking away from it doesn't mean that the sense of purpose was not lost. I did it, and when the time was right for me to exit it, I did it. I'm not very attached to that, because
But you really involved in process, you create atmosphere, you create special vibes, all this recipe. By the way, how you bring some chef or Indian recipe?
No, so the research, for all the restaurants, the research is done by me. So I create the first dish with our head chef, and then I train him, and then he trains the team.
Chief create dish and you try to make it perfect for your taste, or your was idea that I want these dishes, this is my recipe, do something like that in your chef style.
So I'm very hands-on in the menu development. And all the menus across all our restaurants are very selfish menus. I like to put things the way I like them. And what I enjoy, but we do it in a way that I know others are going to enjoy as well. So we don't try to go overboard with trying to be modern or trying to be authentic and any of that crap. We kind of just do it the way I like to do it. And we've been lucky that people have also accepted that positively. But coming back to your question, the first development is done by me, and then I train the chef, and then he trains everyone else. And all our team is from Bali. We've not hired anyone from overseas. So Galla is a Sri Lankan restaurant. We don't have a Sri Lankan chef. Bakari's menu is mostly inspired by Mediterranean and Middle Eastern and Northern African food, but we don't have a chef from that area. We do 20 wines by glass, but we don't have a sommelier. Tucky, the coffee shop, we don't roast our own beans, but we have a very good barista who handles everything. And the next restaurant as well, it's not from sort of my culture, but the menu will still be done by me. And that's just how we like to do it.
Be entrepreneurial and keep eyes on everything, and bring yourself first. and after already it will be like business. First, everything comes from you. Your mind, your vibe, your style, design, everything, interior, menu, tastes, all details.
I still consider myself industry outsider because it's only been two and a half years since I got into restaurants, as compared to some amazing restaurateurs and food and hospitality related people who've been here and who are doing some amazing things. So if you compare my experience with those, it's only been 2 years. So I'm an outsider. So, but for me, the passion is probably the passion is the advantage that I bring, and I only like to do what I know best. And if I don't know it, then I will ask people for help. And if they are able to help, fantastic. If they are not able to help, then I'll go figure it out myself. But it's the risk aspect which I enjoy as well. Yeah.
Okay, going to your two next places, like 2 in 1. Like for me, it was a really genius idea, and started from that place when I visited it last year.
That's how we got connected.
Yeah, and for me it was like, it's so genius. One place and two places. One place and 2 places. And even like, I was something wrong with my mind, because in the morning I came for the coffee, and like in the evening I just walking on the street and see other label. Wow, how it's changed? Why it changed? Oh, maybe something wrong with me. Okay, next day I come in the morning again, other label. This is name of the place, and after I figure out, then when I sit a little bit longer, and staff asked me, okay, can you pay, because we close the cashier and we start another one. Say, wow, it's not only 2 names in one, it's literally 2 companies, 2 brands, 2 restaurants, like in one place. This is not just only change the name before like front. And after I was like second time, wow. Like I never seen this idea before, and never, for all the time, I never met it anywhere. How you create it? And tell story how you steal the rent.
Oh yeah, so the places that you're talking about are wine and tapas bar called Bakari, which turns into
Bakari and Taki.
Yeah, that's the name.
Place.
That's the name of the coffee shop in the day. So we have one sign which says Taki in the morning, and then we flip the sign. It turns into Bakari at night. The idea to do a place like that was sort of on my mind for a while. What I noticed with Apsara was we would have some guests who would order wines, and there's a wine list in every restaurant, but there was no wine bar. There were bars which were doing coffee, which were doing cocktails, but sorry, I saw a coffee going by. So there are bars which do cocktails, but no one was doing a dedicated wine bar. And when I was living in Singapore, I used to collect and invest in wine. So I've always been very close to wines. It's been something, it's one of my interests.
Yeah, we come back to the wine story.
Yeah, so the idea was to then do a wine bar, and so that was the initial idea. And I was walking by this place one day, and it said for rent, and it was a small little place but in a very bad condition, but I absolutely knew that the wine bar would be perfect for it. It had a small sign which said for rent with the landlord's number, and I stole that sign with me so no one else could take it.
So you see how you should be patient about your idea, which came to your brain, you just walking. Exactly, this is the place. This is exactly what I needed.
Yeah, I was very shameless back then. I think I still am. So the idea was to, I took the sign, and then I messaged the landlord, and coincidentally, fortunately, luck, whatever you want to call it, we agreed on a price pretty quickly, and the idea was to just do it like that. And then I secured the fundraise for it, and as the renovation was happening, I used to go to a coffee shop here, which a friend of mine was running, and I used to love their coffee. And then it got me thinking, people will not have wine early in the morning, or like even in the afternoon sometimes. So why not serve coffee in the day? And I got talking to the lady who was the roaster, and we got talking, and she said, yeah, it could be a good idea. I said, I don't know how to do it. And she, again, I don't know how these things happen. She either just took pity on me, or was just a very kind woman. And she said, I will be happy to do it for you. if you want to work with us for the beans. And it was an absolute no-brainer. Again, the opportunity presented itself, I took it. So Bakari became Bakari and Taki. And the idea, but the reason why we did separate names was I didn't want people to get confused with who we are. So brand identity was very important to me. It always has been. And I think for any entrepreneur out there, I think especially with your product and your service and your offering, especially in hospitality, it's very important to be very clear about what you're trying to do. From an administrative perspective, it required more work, but for me that was okay, simply because I didn't want people to get confused. Are you a coffee shop or are you a wine bar? Because they had different price points, different kind of people who would come to us.
Yes.
So we thought, okay, let's do a separate name for that. Let's do a separate name for that. But again, the reason why we do 2 cashier closes is pretty much just to understand what data we are getting in the day and what numbers we are getting in the evening. So it helps me understand, okay, what we need to use our marketing efforts more to increase the sales, where are we doing really well, and just to understand patterns. I love data and numbers. I'm an absolute data geek. So that's why we do 2 separate accountings for both of them, so we can see where the growth is coming from and where we need to invest our time and effort.
But still, it's a nice idea. Like in the morning, we came to coffee, like kind of breakfast, or a lot of people use that place like co-worker place.
Yeah,
they sit with laptops. Even me, I sit with laptops there. And after like time go like 4 change.
Yeah, 4 o'clock we change.
At 4 o'clock it's change, and it's start like party time. So work hard, play like hard.
I mean, the idea was we put the co-working thing was never a plan, but I wanted to put an air conditioner because I sweat a lot. So, and then eventually people were like, okay, this is the only place on that whole street which has an air conditioner.
Yeah.
So people could come with their laptops and work, and all of a sudden we became a place where people were bringing with their laptops. And we try to be very accommodating with our guests. So if they want to come and if they want to spend a few hours, it's okay. We don't push them to order more. We just request them, hey, we might need you to share this table with someone else, if that's okay. They're very happy to do that as well.
But in previous Apsara was strong rules. You can use your laptop only until dinner time.
Is it? I don't know when that. So I don't know if that rule happened after I left or before.
No, before.
Which
last summer?
Last summer? No, I wasn't there.
You wasn't already.
No, so like I said, 2023 January was when
exactly
I left.
Last summer.
No, so I'd left by then.
Okay. There was rules that like exactly. You can work with laptop like lunchtime, morning lunchtime.
Yeah.
Start from 4.
Okay.
No laptop allowed.
No,
only
so I think that's probably
because it's kind of little.
That's the management decision after I left.
Okay.
I think when I was still running and owning the place, I wasn't involved. But different managements, they bring their own ideas, and I think whatever they do is always good because they want to do it for the betterment of the business. So, but even at Taki, I mean, people bring their laptops, they work. Evenings we encourage not to, also because it's a bar, so people generally don't bring their laptops.
It's still noisy and bar like for talking, just spend time and like you try to make it like chic wine bar, as you said.
Yeah.
In somewhere.
But if someone we've had guests who've come with their laptops, we don't tell them to not use their laptops. They automatically figure it out.
Yes,
that the vibe is changing.
Not much.
Yeah. I mean, I would never work with my laptop in the evening there for sure. But we accommodate people whenever we can.
So your passion of wine to bring here in Bali starts from your Singapore life when you was investor in cult wines, right?
Yeah. So
I like your quote. You said spend money on wines so that you will never drink.
Yeah, it's basically, yes, wine investment was something I got introduced to through Cult Wines, and it's basically a wine investment fund based out of London and Singapore. And the way to invest is you invest into the fund, and then based on your risk profile, they allocate certain investments. Those investments are cases of investment grade wines.
I never knew that this company exists. You can invest in wine.
You're basically buying wines you will never drink and eventually sell it to someone else.
I like your quarter. It's really great as always, everything you do.
It was mostly from, I think there were 2 reasons why I did it. It was to understand more about wines, but to also diversify your investment portfolio. And I think it was one of those passion meets
It's like
work.
fun with profitable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus knowledge.
Yeah. Plus they wine and dine you then if once you're an investor, so it works.
It's some open doors if you want to invest for
Yeah, and I think I also developed my love for wines from that. So if it wasn't for that chance encounter, we wouldn't have had Bakari. So
yeah. It was the reason for sure. And you tried to change Bali style life, Bali culture, because of course, same it was your words that Bali famous like cocktail bars, beach clubs, bintang beer. So you bring exactly high level wines, not only like your local one, high level like new world, right?
Yeah, we import all our wines. Yeah, but I wouldn't say I'm trying to change the culture. I think that's too much pressure.
You wrote it.
But I think
I'm like excellent in Google user.
I think
I read it.
I think
he wrote it.
I think the idea is to show what more can be when it comes to dining and hospitality.
Give up, more options.
Yeah, I think the idea was to just give more options, and I believe a lot of the times we don't know what we want. So if you're able to create an offering or a product, I think people will be curious to do it, curious to try it. But yes, there were certain perceptions which people had that, wines in Bali are shit, Bali's only known for cocktails and bintang beer. So I wanted to change that perception, but I wouldn't necessarily put it as me trying to change the culture or everything.
But still, you have perfect location. Ubud, it's far away from ocean.
Yeah.
Ocean more suitable. Cocktail in Bintang.
I could do a wine bar by the sea as well. I would just do some very good white wines and rosés,
But still, in Ubud, it's more vibe for wine in the evening. I can't imagine you can sit like in the Ubud and drink cocktails. It absolutely doesn't suit. But with wine, it's like more chic style.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just wanted to put a place where people who wanted wine should come to us, and I do that with all the restaurants. The idea is I want to do it at a level and at a caliber where if you think wines, you should only come to Bakari. If you think coffee, you should only come to Taki. If you think Sri Lankan food, Galla is the place to be. So that sort of comes back to why I do the attention to details, and the passion that comes with it is for that purpose.
Being like have a restaurant exactly like Indian before and now like Sri Lankan, most of your customers still like different, or some from Sri Lanka, from India come to checking and to say no, your recipe not right. It's not like literally Sri Lanka or like not literally India.
I think that
like
hasn't been the case for us here, simply because we've never marketed ourselves as authentic or anything like that. We've very much talked about the fact that Gall Club is all about Sri Lankan flavors. Now, if it's authentic, if it's modern, if it's fusion, you can decide for yourself, because every person who comes in has had his or her own experience and interpretation of what food from India could be. We just wanted to put flavors, good Sri Lankan flavors out there, and let people decide whether we are authentic or modern or good or bad. In my opinion, we are very good. And that's what matters.
Yeah, but it's your opinion. But I read some reviews on your Google, and someone then said, okay, it's not so spicy for Indian or not so spicy for Sri Lankan, or it's like somewhere in the middle. We expect it, but no. Most of them, no. Most of them review 5 for 5. Everyone super in love with your places, but some of them.
I think when it comes to that as well, it's mostly about what we assume, and I think for any country for that matter, cuisine from Russia or cuisine from India, every country has so much diversity, but
no, but still, if I'm being Russian, I came here for Russian restaurant, I will come like Revizora style. This is not good. This is not like supposed to be. Okay, I understand the problem because you use other products. Other it's still problem with sheep.
Well,
but I never say, wow, you're so good that you open. No, if it's bad, if it's not how it's supposed to be, like Russian recipe.
This is the thing that people don't understand with South Asian food. And when I say South Asian, I mean Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka. We have way more diversity than any of the other cultures possibly can. Even within a small island like Sri Lanka, you've got the northern Sri Lankan region, which has a different ethnicity, and the food is a lot spicier. And as you go in the central part, It's a lot more rich because it's on the hills to keep you warm. It's a lot colder. As you go south, it becomes more, there's heavy use of coconut milk because you have the coastline where the coconut trees grow. If you're up in the north, you don't have, on the hills, you don't have that. So is Sri Lankan food spicy everywhere? No. In central Sri Lanka, the food is more milder. It's more richer with use of aromatics and coconut cream. So I think we are trying to make people understand that, but I also understand if not everyone assumes that. Maybe you didn't go to that place when you were in Sri Lanka, so you don't know any better, and that's, I think, is fine. We very much want to put all flavors out there, and someone who expects that Sri Lankan food is all chilies or Indian food is just curries, I think it's my responsibility to make them see other parts of it and other aspects of it.
You just open new world for them as a side.
I mean, we didn't know we wanted a keyboardless cell phone, right? Until Apple dropped an iPhone. So I just feel like until you don't know what's out there, you wouldn't know what actually a cuisine is.
Okay, a good idea.
And I think it happens a lot in restaurants because people just assume that what they know is best. But we're trying to showcase a lot of diversity and depth in the food that we offer. So yeah.
Come back to details. I was in love with one thing. It's, by the way, a super smart guy. He sells wine, right? He sells wine. He has a bottle, he has cork. In this bottle, during the day, he sells Americano or not, or like coffee.
Cold brew coffee.
Cold brew coffee. So you can buy this as bottle of wine with special label. Send me a picture if you have later.
Sure, I'll send it to you. Yeah.
And it's coffee. And when I see one bottle with coffee inside, for me it was again like, oh, wow, that's genius of creative. It just top off. And here's the water. We're now in Galla restaurant, and he brings this wine from wine shop, or maybe he sell here, right?
Yeah.
Use it for water.
Yeah,
so how you say to you just?
I mean, I think
try to save money as much as possible on everything.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a sustainability element to it. We were not trying to be sustainable. We were just trying to be cheap. We were trying to save money on extra bottles.
But it's sustainable. It's creative. It's like a really cool idea.
Yeah, I think one of the things.
How you create coffee in one bottle? I even can't imagine how it came in the mind. I think
personally, I am a very curious person, and I have a habit of questioning things the way they are done. So when we introduced our cold brew coffee, everywhere cold brew coffees are served in small glass bottles, which are very expensive.
Yeah.
So that's why cold brew coffees are very expensive. We decided not to serve in those bottles because I realized the cost is not so much of the actual coffee is cheaper than the cost of the bottle.
Yeah, most of it like in can.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I thought, okay, why not let's do it differently then? So we started serving the cold brew coffee by glass as a cocktail, but when we served it by bottle, we thought, okay, we sell so many bottles of wine, let's use those bottles. We made a sticker which looks like a wine label, and we thought it's going to stand out. It's going to be something different. People would not be seeing the usual looking coffee labels, and I think it worked. And again, like, coming back to anyone who's pursuing entrepreneurship, it's always nice to be curious and to ask and to question why things are done a particular way, as opposed to just following it that this is the way it's done. And so yeah, I think if you're able to really question everything, and it's exhausting, it's time consuming, but I think it's worth it in the end. And we're probably the only place which sells cold brew coffee in a wine bottle because we were curious about it, and we wanted to explore and take the risk. And but we knew that if it doesn't work, we can go back to the way everyone does it.
Yes,
but that never happened.
Nothing. Yeah, it's great. So you can try. You see, okay, you come back. You always.
Yeah, I think if you take the risks for all the right reasons, it always works out.
But even it's not so risky. Just try and see.
It's actually cheaper, so it's less risky.
Yeah. It's the same way. You will throw away them, or you will use it trying for sale.
It was less risky for sure.
Water, coffee, at least, but it looks so cool. Even I remember I sent a picture for all my friends. I said, can you imagine coffee in one bottle?
Yeah.
Me inspired this a lot.
Thank you.
And now we're in Sri Lankan restaurant. As I can guess, this restaurant was inspired by your trip to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
You see all this landscape, all these pictures, this vibe, and decided bring a piece of Sri Lanka to Bali.
Yeah, so it wasn't a
Don't be so
planned.
surprised, I'm spying.
It wasn't a planned trip, actually. When I was coming back to Bali in 2021 to open Apsara. Because of COVID regulations, I could not fly directly from India to Indonesia. So the rule was you have to spend 2 weeks in a different country before you can come in.
In the middle.
Yeah, just political squabbles and political pettiness. So I could not fly directly, which means I had to stay in another country for 2 weeks before I was allowed to come back to Indonesia from India. And there were two options. One was Serbia.
Okay.
The other was Sri Lanka. And I had been to Sri Lanka before, so I thought, okay, let's just spend 2 weeks in Sri Lanka.
But you have been in Serbia?
No, never.
But still, you chose Sri Lanka.
It was closer.
Okay.
And the flight route was easier.
It was cheaper, and again, you
Yeah, I didn't even check the fares. I was like going the other way and then flying all the way versus just going down south and then flying to Indonesia. It was a shorter flight
Just
route.
on your way.
Yeah, and I was there for 2 weeks. COVID the regulations were still there. There were not any tourists, so it was empty. And I was staying at Galla, which is a small town in the southwest part of Sri Lanka. It's my favorite part of Sri Lanka as well. And all I did was there were 3 or 4 places which were open. So there's not much to do. I would just read all day, walk around town, have a meal at the usual places. And one of the cafes, there was a chef. I used to be the only one there. So one day I asked him, hey, I'm actually starting a new restaurant, but I want to see what Sri Lankan food's like. Whatever I order, can you show me how it's made in the kitchen?
Oh my
So
God.
that's how we got talking about it.
So you became chef plus?
Yeah, so for 2 weeks, I would order the whole menu and then he would show me how to do it. And then he told me to check out a few other recipes. So that's how my interest in Sri Lankan food started. And when I came back, I was like, okay, it'll be nice, if Apsara picks up and if I really enjoy the restaurant business, it'll be nice to do a Sri Lankan restaurant. Fast forward 3 years, we've done it. But I always say this as well, if I went to Serbia, maybe I would have done a Serbian restaurant. So that's how the whole idea for Gall Club came into being. And I really love Gall, I really miss it. So the idea was to bring a piece of that here for sure.
Yeah, but it's really stylish, and even this landscape around, how you find that place? For exactly, it's suit, unbelievable how it's suit. And
it found me, actually.
Again.
Yeah, so the landlord of this place is related to the landlord of my house.
Okay.
And one day I was going to another restaurant for lunch, but they were closed. I didn't know they were closed. So I came here to dine, and the landlord was the chef. And we got talking about the food. And he said, we're going to actually expand our warung. It was a warung, which is a local Indonesian restaurant. He said, we're going to expand our warung to our family compound, which is just behind Gall. And I said, well, if you are taking it, could I take this place? And he said, if you're serious, why not?
Wow,
and
great.
We took it and we agreed on the numbers, and the initial idea was to do a Vietnamese restaurant at a different location, but then I changed, adapted last minute, and we decided to do the Sri Lankan restaurant here.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about what you do and now what you do, obstacles will find you in circumstances in the best way.
I think also, just like I said, the right opportunity. Like with Bakari, saw that place, saw the sign, stole the sign. Here, it was luck maybe that I walked into the restaurant that day for lunch.
But you truly know what you want and what you want to do.
But if an opportunity presents, then I want to take it. Then I'm very disciplined and determined to take it.
One hater's comment help you create the brand. So you change negative in positive and made it your, as your company said, not bad hospitality.
Oh yeah. I think so. The context and the story goes. When I opened Bakari, in our first few weeks, we had a guest who came there and he couldn't, I think, understand that a wine bar or a European menu or a Middle Eastern menu could be done by an Indian guy. So he said, not bad for an Indian to me. But I actually found it very flattering because I'm like, it's good. Like the idea is that actually I'm able to make people question their own beliefs by doing the way I want to do it. And we did it really well because he thought that the place was owned by a European guy because it was good quality. So I don't know what his intentions was, but I think he just had a certain assumption of who could do a place like this. So, but I found that sentence, not bad for an Indian, very funny. And we named our next company Not Bad Hospitality after that.
Yeah.
So it's just funny being able to laugh at, certain things that come your way.
Yeah, but most people will be like offended, will become sad, but you say, oh, it's funny, let's use it.
Yeah, because I don't really give a shit about what people think, honestly. There's enough self-conviction and self-belief in being able to do it the way I want to do it. Objectively, if something is wrong, say our staff were rude or the food was not seasoned well, and if someone says, okay, the dish was bland, I would inspect it, I would work on it, and because I know they mean well, they want it to be better.
Yeah, but it's
and I always say it's a few people who come together to make a good restaurant. It's me, the team, but also guests. You have no idea how many times guests have come in and actually help us do our menu better. I will either ask them, do you have a recipe in mind? They will share it, or they will share a trick, or just in casual conversation. And it's really, really helped us. So I think guests who come and visit us have probably been the biggest, I guess, mentors in a way for our menu in some ways as well. But it's just a matter of how you communicate. Some people can be very angry about it. Some are very, I think they are more careful about how they explain that. But I feel like if you're able to get the message, regardless of the way they say it.
But you deeply personally work in customer service. I don't know how it's now, but before, last year, as I remember, you personally answer in DM and suggest some things as I get to talk with you.
Yeah, I think I don't end up spending a lot of time in the restaurants as much as I would like. So communicating with the guests does not happen in a personal basis as much as I would like to. So I feel like communicating and responding to messages on Instagram is a great way for me to connect with them and to just see, what they're doing, what they're up to, how they're interacting with our place and with our concepts. And it helps me make better decisions for what we need to change or what we need to do next. And it's also a lot of fun, Bali, you get a lot of very interesting and diverse people. You may never know. Like my best friend here, I met him in Bakari, and I met him he was sitting outside, and I went up to him and I said, sorry, we're a bit understaffed. Can I take your order? And he's one of my closest friends now.
Wow.
So I think you may never know.
Even I'm sitting now here and records this podcast.
Yeah,
being your customer.
We had a guest who reached out to us on our Instagram for the Sri Lankan restaurant, asking us when we will open, and then I informed them we're going to open in the coming months. They came over, they really liked it. Now they're investing in the new restaurant. So you may never know who you might meet in a cafe or in a restaurant. So I think it's a good way for me to be in touch with them and to just sort of see how they're interacting and engaging with our spaces. Yeah.
Being owner of 3 restaurants and one coming soon, yes, you said that you're pretended to be busy, but still I know you're busy. You have a lot of paperwork, a lot of accounting, and a lot of details. So you really over these things, and when you need to close months, you need to open all the suppliers, delivery, all the things. So it takes time do a lot of maybe irritating work. But still, your answer recently to me, how you keep balance from all this work which have to be done with life. So entrepreneur life existed or no?
Yeah, I think balance, and I think that there's no secret sauce to it, but I think a couple of things that are very important for me is while I'm very particular about how we should do things, and we should do them at a very in the best way we can, I'm also not very controlling about all aspects of the business. We have a fantastic team at management, at junior management, and at floor and kitchen level. So our talent density is very high. We have very, very talented people, and we all are very aligned, so there's a strong sense of trust. So a lot of the jobs and tasks which I see entrepreneurs doing, I let them do it. So I can really focus on a few different things which only I can do in the business. So that means I have more free time, and I can pursue other interests as well. If I was doing everything in Bakari or in Apsara, I wouldn't have been able to do Gall or the next restaurant. So I think the balance...
Delegate.
Yeah, the balance has come from hiring very, very good people. And
how you find the very, very good people which suit you and your goals and work together with you as a team? Because it's still human.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not in mood, sometimes they're lazy, sometimes they're tired.
Yeah. I think the culture became very important, but there's context to it. I have been very lucky that my mentor and boss, when I was working in Singapore, was probably one of the best people I've ever met in my life. And he sometimes actively, sometimes passively really showed me what it's like to be a good manager and a good leader and a good entrepreneur as well. So I've been very lucky, and I think I'm one of the very few people who've never had a shitty boss or a shitty colleague in his life. So I only knew the good bits of management and how to, motivate and grow a strong team. And even though that was a different industry, I think the values are pretty much the same anywhere. So I just passed it on to them here. What I saw was in restaurants, a lot of restaurants just operate like schools, very strict hierarchies, very strict structures. Here we encourage them to fuck up or make mistakes, long as they're honest about it, long as they're able to talk about how we can learn from those mistakes.
It's like freedom and trust.
Yeah, and I know it's easier said than done, but I also have been very patient with knowing that if someone's broken a glass few times, I'm still okay with it. So it takes, in the short term, it can really push your strings, but in the long term, you get aligned on a common goal. We also are very obsessed with why. Anything that we do, they ask me why, and anything they do, good, like correct way or the wrong way, I ask them why they did it, Then if I tell them this is the way we have to do it, I also give them reasons as to why. So they can really understand the main reason and the crux of why I'm asking them to do something this way. So we're all very aligned. We've removed the personal element of, I guess the personal element of, when we're trying to encourage people to do better, they don't take it personally if a feedback is negative. So we've removed that whenever possible. They're still trying, it's a work in progress, but that means a team which is very aligned and really cares about the place, because they are here, they're the heart and soul of the restaurant. I'm only here for 1 hour a day, but they're here 8 hours a day. So their well-being, their security, their safety is very important, and when we have that trust, then I can let them run the whole show. So I can really focus on 2 or 3 things which they cannot do or they don't want to do. So that's where the balance comes in from.
Okay, there's key secrets like freedom, trust, communication.
We're not a 9-to-5 business, but I think trust, safety. I think creating a safe work environment has created a lot of balance in my life for me as well. Yeah, there's nothing else. It's not boundaries or anything. It's just creating a safe environment where information comes to me, so I don't have to go seek out things all the time.
So it's life in your hands and you create it.
I'm very lucky. We have close to 30 people now across Bakari, Taki and Gall, and I think once we started creating a culture like that with Bakari, it's infectious. The team at Gall was actually hired by the team at Bakari. I wasn't even involved in the interviews. So and hiring takes a lot of your time, but I saved all that time by letting them hire, and I said, look, the only thing that you need to care about is, would you be happy to work with them for 8 hours a day?
Yes.
If you think you're good working with them, hire them. Doesn't matter if they know how to make a cocktail, it doesn't matter if they know how to serve water, we'll train them, and I know you will train them. And they did that. The Bakari team trained the Gall team on those standards at which we operate. But the idea, the crux, the only hiring criteria was, can I stay with this person for 8 hours and work? And if they said yes, and unanimously they would agree that yes, this is the person that fits our culture, we hired. Doesn't matter if they worked before or not.
Amazing.
Yeah. In fact, like the lady who probably makes the best cocktails in Bakari, she's an accountant by training and by work. But her attitude was good. She was really willing to learn. So we said, okay, go figure. and it worked. And I said, if you make a mistake, it's fine, because the cost of making a wrong cocktail is nothing as compared to the mental health that can be affected if I'm or the team is very strict or harsh on her. So it's worked. She stayed with us for long, and we've grown people internally. The junior most barista a year and a half ago at Tucky is now the manager of both our restaurants. So because we've been aligned culturally, and he's sort of just taken the right initiatives, and it's spared a lot of time for me to pursue other projects, other interests, other hobbies. So coming back to your question, we just created a balance I created a balance for me by creating a safe work environment.
And you bring it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's the most inspiring talk for all the time. Really.
I wouldn't put it that way.
Very, very deep and very inspiring.
Thank you.
I love it so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's fun doing that. Yeah.
What you can say, like in the last words, for guys who are just struggling, thinking what to do in life when they lost and don't know where is their success?
Don't chase the ideas, for sure. Don't be afraid to working hard. Obviously, we talked a lot about balance, and sometimes my busy is me lying at home and reading a book or watching Netflix, but it's not always been the case. I think when I start a restaurant, I work 16, 14 hours a day non-stop, and I make a lot of compromises and sacrifices and say no, and I think that's important. But I think, just knowing very clearly whether you're chasing this for the idea or the act or exactly what you want makes a big difference, especially when you're not sure or you're lost or you're confused. It's also okay to be confused. Like most of the times I'm very confused. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but then it happens. And I guess perseverance is very important. We're unfortunately now in an age where our attention span is becoming less and less. We don't even want to watch a video which is 30 seconds.
Yes.
So when your attention span is so low, you're not able to commit to anything long term. You have to have a long term vision for your business, and you have to be willing to commit yourself to it. If you move too quickly as well, you will always be jumping from one to the other. Yeah, so it takes time, 2 years, sometimes 3 years, to really hit the stride. So just persevere, and perseverance is very important. I would probably say that as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you for your time.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. If you watch it till end, I'm really jealous of you, because you get a lot of inspiring things and minds, and I think it's really, really useful for you too. And for me, I was really happy to sit with you today and talk on record.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
I'm really honored.
Thank you. No, pleasure's mine. Pleasure's mine. Thanks for making this happen.
Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe. It's for free, but helps me a lot to run this YouTube channel and be more productive for you. Love you guys.
Cool. Done.